This is Zhang. I'm professor of global environmental health at Duke University and Kunshan University. I'm pleased to give you an introduction to exposure biology at the chemistry laboratory and also some of my research projects. This is the laboratory in Durham. A similar lab is in Shanghai, and that will be moved to DKU when the DKU building is ready. So this is a HPLC mass spectrometer. What we do here with this machine is to analyze molecules that in the environment or in our body. We measure those things as an indicator of exposure or as an indicator of some changes that environmental exposure caused in our body. So before the machine takes the sample for analysis, I showed you that the HPLC mass spectrometry, the samples will need to be prepared in a way like this. They will be processed with the extraction with multiple steps to get them ready for the machine to analyze. So those are the people who have worked in my laboratory recently. So I'll give you some examples of what I do. My lab does is the metabolites of air pollutants like polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, carcinogens, the pollutants in the air pollution mixture. We measure metabolites in human urine that will be an indicator of exposure to this compound and to the air pollution mixture. So also we measure the same class of chemicals, PAHs, when they form adducts with proteins with the DNA. Those markers are a little bit longer-term markers of exposure. The urinary markers I showed you as short-term exposure markers. So also we measure changes induced by exposure to environmental pollution or environmental stresses. Those are including oxidative stress, inflammatory biomarkers, the other markers that really have a physiological impact on our health. So I give you some examples. This one is a paper we published recently about those urinary metabolites of PAHs. They are correlated with the exposure to traffic-emitted pollutants. And another study is looking at changes in air pollution levels during the Beijing Olympics and biomarkers of inflammation and thrombosis in healthy young adults. In this study, we find that when air quality getting better, the risk factors for inflammation and blood coagulation also get reduced, which means the cardiovascular system is getting better when air quality is getting better. And another study I want to show you is a study we done in London, UK. We have people with asthma walked for 2 hours in a dirty street called Oxford Street. I compare with the same people walking a little bit cleaner park called Hyde Park. We compare changes on physiology and biomarkers in those people. What we find in this study is that compared to walking a cleaner park, walking in the street with lots of diesel traffic causes 5 to 6% reduction in lung function and increases in inflammatory biomarkers. I want to show you another study that was done in China recently, which you know that air quality is not very good in Beijing or in many big cities, especially in the winter times. When you get a red or orange alert for bad air quality, people ask to stay indoors. But if your indoor air quality is not good, it's not good. I mean, it's not going to help you if you stay indoors. So what we did in the study is really to have various filtration technologies installed in offices, in dormitories, or in people's homes, and we wanted to see whether those interventions will actually improve people's health. So the study was done with a team that really represents a multidisciplinary team expertise covering building engineering, indoor air quality to environmental health, biostatistics, and engineers, medical physicians. So what we did, we published the paper recently that we find that some intervention with a so-called ESP, electrostatic precipitator, which removes particles but generate ozone as a byproduct, and that ozone is not good to our health. Recently, we find it at relatively low ozone levels. The ozone exposure will actually increase the platelet activation, which means increase the blood coagulation and also blood pressure, which is not good for cardiovascular health. That's a brief introduction to my laboratory. I hope you will have a chance to visit someday. And thank you for your attention, and thank you for being a member of the KU community.